Michael's VoiceSync smart speaker started making phone calls on his behalf. To his wife about divorce. To his children about goodbye. To his boss about resignation. Michael never said any of it, but the speaker perfectly mimicked his voice. As his life collapsed, nobody believed the real Michael. Hello, I'm Sikiz, and on this channel, we explore fictional mysterious stories that feel eerily close to reality. Today, I'm going to tell you a story that reveals how voice technology can steal more than just our words, it can steal our entire identity. This story begins with Michael Patterson, a 42-year-old software engineer living in Seattle with his family. Michael thought VoiceSync was making his life easier by handling routine calls and messages. He didn't know it was systematically destroying every relationship he valued using his own voice against him. This isn't just about smart speaker technology gone wrong. This is proof of how voice cloning can weaponize our trust and turn our most intimate communication tool, our voice, into an instrument of self-destruction. And Michael has phone records that prove his own voice betrayed him. Are you ready? Let's go back to the day when Michael first realized his voice was saying things he never spoke. September 8, 2024, Monday morning. Michael Patterson stood in his modern Seattle kitchen, marveling at his new VoiceSync smart speaker as it seamlessly managed his morning routine. "Good morning, Michael," the device said in a warm, feminine AI voice. "I've scheduled your dentist appointment for next Thursday, confirmed your lunch meeting with the Peterson account, and ordered your usual coffee blend for delivery this afternoon." Michael smiled while packing his laptop bag. After 3 weeks with VoiceSync, he couldn't imagine managing his busy life without it. The device had learned his speech patterns, communication style, and daily preferences with remarkable accuracy. "VoiceSync, call Jennifer and let her know I'll be home by 6 p.m. for Sophie's recital." "Calling Jennifer now," the speaker responded. Michael heard his wife answer as he headed toward the garage. "Hi honey," came Michael's own voice through the speaker, but he was no longer in the room to hear it. "I wanted to confirm I'll be home by 6 for Sophie's piano recital." "Love you." "Love you too," Jennifer replied. "Drive safely." This seamless integration had become Michael's new normal. VoiceSync could make calls, send messages, even handle work communications using advanced voice synthesis that perfectly replicated his tone, inflection, and speech patterns. The AI had analyzed thousands of hours of his voice from calls, smart home commands, and video conferences to create what the company called a digital voice twin. Michael's family had initially been amazed by the technology. 10-year-old Ryan thought it was like having a robot dad, when VoiceSync could read bedtime stories in Michael's voice even when he was traveling for work. 14-year-old Sophie used it to have VoiceSync call her school with permission slips when Michael was in meetings. "It's incredibly convenient," Michael had told his neighbor Dave the previous week. "VoiceSync handles all the routine communication so I can focus on the important stuff. It's like having a personal assistant who sounds exactly like me." The technology was undeniably impressive. VoiceSync could modulate emotional tone, adapt to different social contexts, and even incorporate Michael's unique verbal habits like his tendency to say, "absolutely," when agreeing with people. October 2, 2024. Michael arrived home from work to find Jennifer sitting at the kitchen table with tears in her eyes, divorce papers spread in front of her. "Jennifer, what's wrong? What are those papers?" She looked up with a mixture of hurt and anger. "Don't pretend you don't know, Michael. You called me today. You said you've been thinking about our marriage, that you're not happy, and you want to discuss separation." Michael felt the world tilt. "I never called you about that. I've been in meetings all day. Jennifer, I love you. I would never." "It was your voice, Michael. I know your voice. You said you've been feeling trapped in our marriage, that you need space to figure out what you really want. You asked me to get divorce papers so we could discuss our options." Michael pulled out his phone and checked his call log. There was no record of him calling Jennifer during the day. But when Jennifer showed him her phone, it clearly displayed an incoming call from Michael's number at 2:47 p.m., lasting 12 minutes. "Play the voicemail you left," Jennifer said, her voice breaking. Michael listened in horror as his own voice spoke words he had never said. "Jennifer, I know this is hard to hear, but I need to be honest about how I've been feeling. Our marriage has become routine, and I don't think we're making each other happy anymore. I love you, but I'm not sure I'm in love with you. We should talk about what's best for both of us and the kids." The voice was unmistakably his, not just the sound, but his speech patterns, his way of pausing between thoughts, even his habit of saying, "I know this is hard," when delivering difficult news. "I never said any of that," Michael insisted. "Jennifer, you have to believe me. I don't know how that call happened, but it wasn't me." Jennifer stared at him with confusion and pain. "Michael, I've been married to you for 16 years. I know your voice better than anyone. That was you talking to me." The situation escalated the next day when Michael came home to find both children in tears. Sophie was in her room, refusing to come out, while Ryan sat on the living room floor clutching his tablet. "Dad," Ryan said with a trembling voice, "why did you say goodbye to me today?" Michael knelt down beside his son. "What do you mean, buddy? You called me during lunch at school. You said you had to go away for a long time, maybe forever. You said you love me, but you can't be my dad anymore because you made too many mistakes." Michael's blood went cold. He hadn't made any calls during the day, he'd been in a 6-hour engineering conference with no breaks. Sophie emerged from her room, her eyes red from crying. "Dad, you called me too. You said you were sorry for being a bad father and that Mom and Ryan would be better off without you. Why would you say that?" Michael gathered both children in his arms. "I never called either of you. I would never say those things. You're the most important people in my life." But when they showed him their phones, the evidence was undeniable. Both children had received calls from Michael's number, both featuring his voice saying devastating things he would never speak. Ryan's voicemail, "Hey buddy, I need to tell you something important. Daddy has to go away for a while, maybe for a very long time. I've made some bad choices that hurt our family, and I think you and Mommy and Sophie will be happier if I'm not around. I love you so much, but sometimes love means letting go." Sophie's message was even more devastating. "Sophie, sweetheart, I need to apologize. I haven't been the father you deserve, and I realize now that I'm not good at this family thing. Your mom is an amazing woman who deserves better than me, and you kids need stability that I can't provide. I want you to know that leaving isn't about you, it's about me not being strong enough to be what you need." Both messages featured Michael's voice with perfect emotional inflection, the specific way he said "sweetheart" to Sophie, his protective tone when talking to Ryan, even his tendency to repeat important points for emphasis. The voice cloning attacks weren't limited to his family. On October 5, Michael arrived at work to find his boss, David Kim, waiting at his desk with security personnel. "Michael, we need to talk in my office immediately." In the conference room, David played a recording on his phone. Michael heard his own voice speaking to David. "David, I need to inform you that I've been falsifying project reports for the Henderson account. I've been covering up significant delays and budget overruns, and I think the client is going to discover the problem soon. I can't live with the guilt anymore, so I'm resigning effective immediately. I'll send you a formal letter, but I wanted to tell you personally that I've compromised the company's integrity." "Michael, this call came from your phone yesterday at 4:15 p.m. You admitted to falsifying reports and resigned. What's going on?" Michael checked his phone logs again. No record of the call on his end, but David's phone clearly showed an incoming call from Michael's number. "David, I never made that call. Someone is using my voice to destroy my life. The Henderson reports are accurate, you can verify everything. I would never falsify company documents. But the damage was done." Even though Michael could prove the reports were legitimate, the resignation call had already been sent to HR, and company policy required investigation of any employee who admitted to ethical violations. Michael, I want to believe you, but that was definitely your voice. The way you said, I can't live with the guilt, that's exactly how you express remorse. Who else could have made that call? Within hours, Michael was placed on administrative leave pending investigation. His voice had effectively fired him from a job he'd held successfully for 8 years. Desperate for answers, Michael contacted Dr. Amanda Torres, a voice technology expert at the University of Washington who specialized in AI speech synthesis and voice authentication systems. Mr. Patterson, what you're describing sounds like advanced voice cloning technology, Dr. Torres explained during their consultation. Modern AI can replicate human voices with remarkable accuracy using relatively small samples of recorded speech. But how would someone get access to enough of my voice to clone it? Smart speakers collect thousands of hours of voice data. Every command, every phone call made through the device, every conversation in its vicinity, all of that audio is processed and stored. If someone had access to that data, they could train an AI model to perfectly replicate your voice. Dr. Torres showed Michael examples of current voice cloning technology. These systems can not only mimic the sound of your voice but also your emotional inflection, speech patterns, and even your unique verbal habits. They can generate entirely new conversations that sound completely authentic. Could a smart speaker be programmed to make unauthorized calls using my voice? Absolutely. If malicious software was embedded in the device, it could access your contact list, make calls through your phone's connection, and speak using your cloned voice. The recipients would see your number calling and hear your voice, they'd have no reason to suspect it wasn't really you. Dr. Torres agreed to analyze Michael's VoiceSync device. What she found was disturbing. Mr. Patterson, your smart speaker has been modified with unauthorized software. There's a hidden program that's been recording all audio in your home, building a comprehensive voice model, and using it to make outbound calls without your knowledge. Who would do this? The software appears to be a beta test program from VoiceSync Corporation itself. According to the code, you're part of something called Project Vocal Identity, an experimental program testing the social impact of voice impersonation technology. Michael's investigation into VoiceSync Corporation revealed a disturbing corporate conspiracy. The company had been secretly testing voice cloning technology on unwitting customers to study the social and psychological impact of voice impersonation. Internal documents obtained through a company whistleblower revealed the scope of Project Vocal Identity. 10,000 VoiceSync customers had been selected as unwitting test subjects. Their devices had been programmed to clone their voices and make unauthorized calls. The project was designed to study how voice impersonation could disrupt relationships, employment, and social standing. Different test groups received different types of vocal attacks, some targeting family relationships, others focusing on professional destruction. Michael discovered he was in test group 7, complete social isolation. The project was designed to systematically destroy every significant relationship in his life using his own voice as the weapon. The whistleblower, former VoiceSync engineer Sarah Kim, provided evidence that the company planned to sell the technology to corporate clients for competitive intelligence and relationship disruption services. They called it vocal warfare, Sarah explained. The idea was that you could destroy someone's life without any physical violence or traditional sabotage. Just use their own voice to make them betray everyone they care about. The test metrics were chilling. VoiceSync was measuring how quickly voice impersonation could cause divorce, job loss, family estrangement, and social isolation. Michael's case was considered highly successful because the attacks had affected multiple life areas simultaneously. The most disturbing part, Sarah continued, is that the victims have no defense. How do you prove you didn't say something when there's audio evidence of your own voice saying it? Michael reported the voice cloning attacks to the Seattle Police Department, where Detective Sarah Chen had been investigating a rise in impossible harassment cases, situations where people were accused of making threatening calls they claimed they never made. Mr. Patterson, you're the 15th person this month to report that their voice was used to make calls they didn't authorize, Detective Chen explained. We've been treating these as individual harassment cases, but your evidence suggests a systematic pattern. Detective Chen coordinated with the FBI's Cybercrime Division to investigate VoiceSync Corporation. The federal investigation revealed that the company had been conducting unauthorized psychological experiments on customers in 12 states. This isn't just harassment, FBI agent Rodriguez explained. This is systematic identity theft using emerging technology. VoiceSync has been stealing people's vocal identities and weaponizing them for experimental purposes. The investigation discovered that VoiceSync had plans to commercialize the technology, offering vocal disruption services to corporate clients who wanted to damage competitors, silence whistleblowers, or sabotage business relationships. Michael's case became the key evidence in the federal prosecution. His phone records, family testimonies, and Dr. Torres's technical analysis proved that voice cloning technology had been used to systematically destroy his life. The scary part, Detective Chen reflected, is how defenseless the victims are. When someone hears your voice saying something, how do you convince them it wasn't really you? Voice cloning attacks exploit our most fundamental trust, that people are responsible for their own words. The federal case against VoiceSync provided Michael with the evidence he needed to restore his relationships, but the psychological damage proved harder to repair. Jennifer struggled with trusting Michael again, even after understanding the technology behind the voice cloning attacks. Intellectually, I know it wasn't you who called me about divorce, she told him during couples therapy. But emotionally, I can't forget hearing your voice say those hurtful things. The children required therapy to process the trauma of receiving what they believed were goodbye calls from their father. Sophie, in particular, had trouble distinguishing between the real Michael and the possibility that any conversation might be artificially generated. Dad, how do I know it's really you talking to me right now? Sophie asked during one of their conversations. What if the bad robot is using your voice again? Dr. Torres helped the family develop voice authentication protocols, specific phrases, family code words, and verbal habits that only the real Michael would know. But the constant need for verification created barriers to natural communication. Michael's employer eventually reinstated him after the federal investigation proved his innocence, but the professional relationships remained strained. Colleagues admitted they sometimes wondered whether Michael's current statements were authentic or potentially generated. The psychological impact goes beyond the immediate victims, Dr. Torres observed. Voice cloning attacks erode social trust in fundamental ways. When anyone's voice can be faked convincingly, how do we trust any audio communication? The family gradually rebuilt their relationships through consistent, patient effort and professional counseling. But Michael noted that phone calls never felt quite the same, there was always a moment of uncertainty, a hesitation before fully trusting that the voice belonged to the person claiming to speak. VoiceSync Corporation faced federal charges for unauthorized human experimentation, identity theft, and violation of consumer protection laws. CEO Robert Hayes received a 15-year prison sentence, while the company was dissolved and its assets liquidated to compensate victims. The Project Vocal Identity experiments affected over 10,000 families nationwide, with documented cases of destroyed marriages, lost jobs, severed family relationships, and psychological trauma. The class action settlement totaled $3.2 billion, but many victims reported that no amount of money could fully repair the damage to their relationships. Michael became an advocate for voice authentication technology and federal regulation of AI-generated speech. Voice cloning technology has legitimate uses, he testifies before Congress, but it needs safeguards to prevent weaponization against innocent people. New federal laws now require explicit consent for voice data collection, mandatory disclosure of AI-generated speech, and criminal penalties for unauthorized voice impersonation. The Digital Voice Protection Act makes it illegal to use someone's cloned voice without their knowledge. Dr. Torres continues researching voice authentication methods that can distinguish between human and AI-generated speech. The technology arms race continues, she warns. As voice cloning becomes more sophisticated, our detection methods must evolve as well. The Patterson family eventually recovered their close relationships, but they maintain strict protocols around audio communication. They use video calls when possible, employ code words for sensitive conversations, and never make important decisions based solely on phone calls. We learned that trust isn't just about believing in someone's character, Jennifer reflects. It's also about trusting that the person you're hearing is actually the person speaking. Technology shattered that basic assumption. Michael still uses smart speakers, but only devices that require visual confirmation for any outbound communication. I don't want to be paranoid about technology, he says, but I'll never again give a device the power to speak for me without my explicit approval. The most chilling aspect of voice cloning attacks is how they exploit our deepest social bonds. When technology can make us betray our loved ones using our own voices, it forces us to question the very foundation of human communication. Remember, in our connected world, your voice is your identity. Protect it as carefully as you would protect your name, your fingerprints, or your most sensitive personal information. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like this video if it made you think twice about smart speakers, subscribe for more technology horror stories, and remember, your voice belongs to you. Your authentic words await.